Hello and welcome to the 20th of December. Only 5 more days to go. Anyway, we are focusing on an area of our community today, and that is Friends of Lyndhurst Surgery. We're very pleased to have David Wilson with us. He will be reading for us, telling us a little bit about himself and also telling us about what Friends of Lyndhurst Surgery does, or FOLS as it's quite often called. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to David, who will tell you about himself and then read us a poem that he's written all about Christmas, and then he'll tell us a little bit about Friends of Lyndhurst Surgery as well. Thank you, David.
Okay, my name's David Wilson, David K. Wilson as I write, and I'm going to give you a few details of myself. I've nurtured an interest in writing, particularly poetry, since youth. Rhyming poetry is always my preference. I write about most subjects, but I exclude politics, and hope you will have the opportunity to read some of my work as the months pass by. Various pieces appear in local magazines as I write regularly for the Waterside Herald, the Lyndhurst What's On Guide and St Saviour's Church magazine down in Brockenhurst. Generally, I submit something for a particular season or national commemoration, more recently regarding the COVID situation. Poetry has always been my particular preference of writing, but I've also written prose, short stories, flash fiction, and Christmas card verses. Many of these have appeared both locally and nationally. I write about things I encounter day by day, things that capture my imagination and set me thinking. I've written a lot of poems about the world, wars, as well as the issues faced by those caught up in present-day conflict in Ukraine. Also many religious pieces and pieces about nature, our local flora, fauna, etc. Many beautiful things that are not always obvious at first glance, but always worth searching for. A lot of my writing I carry out in the early hours of the morning, whilst enjoying the solitude of peacefulness at this hour. For instance, I was writing this morning at 4 o'clock. I feel privileged to live in Lyndhurst, here in the heart of the New Forest. My wife and I, over the years, have resided in different areas of the forest, all of these lying within the boundaries of the National Park. I'm happily married to my lovely wife Kate. We have a family of 3 now grown-up children, 2 now living in foreign parts. We have 5 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. Back in the 70s, we returned almost the very spot where I was born here in Lyndhurst, close to the very house I lived in as a child, coming back to where I spent my formative years. My wife Kate was also born in this village, although growing up in Bartley. We are both forest people at heart, and we plan to remain so. Thank you. I'd now like to read you a little poem that's appeared in my Christmas cards this year that went out to many people. It's called Christmas Story. There wasn't a day called Christmas until Mary's child was born. There wasn't a season of goodwill, but there was a stable forlorn. There wasn't a Father Christmas, and probably not any snow, but there was a pregnant young woman called Mary and a young man who loved her so. The Christmas scene was set that day at an inn without rooms, just a stable with hay. An angel came down to bless the new birth, and Jesus was born that first Christmas on earth. He came from his Father in heaven above, God's precious Son, the example of love. Thank you. A few words about FOLS. FOLS, Friends of Lyndhurst Surgery. It's been around for a long, long time. Many of the people living in Lyndhurst today will know it from years ago. It was formed by, principally by a chap still living locally, 90 odd years old, and he formed it as, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was a charity that started off as a nurses' charity, and it supported the surgery and bought items for the surgery that were not available in those days on the NHS. That is still the case today. We still buy things that the NHS do not supply, and we support the surgery in every way possible. We collect in various ways monies throughout the year from events we hold, from other charities sometimes donate towards us, people donate towards us, collection boxes, and we have monies coming in, but we never have enough for all the expenses we have. So that is a brief outline of what FOLS does and what FOLS is all about. But please remember us, Friends of Lyndhurst Surgery. Thank you.
In that poem, which was so beautifully written and read, David made a really interesting point. There was no Christmas until Jesus came, that first time. Just think, all of that stuff that we're currently doing, the lights, the nativity plays, all of that, none of it existed until that very first time when Jesus came and was born in a manger, which is fascinating. The word Christmas literally means the sending of Christ. It comes from two words, Christ meaning the Messiah, and Mass meaning to send. It's a Latin word meaning to send. Catholics celebrate the Mass. It comes from the word missio, which is what the word mission means, is to be sent out. So this is the sending of Christ. This is what we celebrate. So no, there can be no Christmas without Christ, because you cannot have the sending of Christ without Christ. As we focus this year, maybe your Christmas traditions involve all sorts of things, holly, Christmas trees, you name it. But actually, they're all for nothing without Jesus at the centre. Can I encourage you to place him at the centre this year? Until we meet tomorrow. For those of you that watched this before the carol service that's in the car park, I hope to see you there. If not, then you missed a wonderful carol service. But until I see you tomorrow, may God bless you and keep you safe. Bye.